Now, you said that in the past that junior high was your hardest time.
Yeah,
Why was that?
Because I kind of wanted to come out, but I couldn't because of being judged, and being judged from my own family too. My family are Mexican, as fuck, and they are very judgy, judgmental. They're very we call it machista. They're very like man, like well, if you're a man, you have to be a man, and you can't play with Barbies. You have to wear men's clothes, and they were very strict with me. So me not having that support from my family and not having it in high school either, it was kind of hard for me to kind of like even to make friends.
Right.
And it was a very hard time in my life, and even going to high school as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think being a Latino from Mexico, it's kind of hard to like express who you are because you don't have that at home.
And so, at what point did you come out to yourself? When did you be like, "Girl, I'm gay"?
Oh, when I started checking the memes, I knew I was gay. Like, I kind of like find an attraction towards men when I was like 13, 14. I was like, oh, he's good looking, whatever. And then going to high school, I was just like, you know what, like, if I can be myself at home, why can't I just do it at school? And I was a cheerleader in high school, so
right. So that was a clue.
That definitely, girl. Yeah. So I got in the cheerleading squad in my sophomore year, and it was hard. Because I went to Jordan High in Watts, and every time they would see me with my uniform, they would be like, hey, faggot, you fairy, or, sissy, whatever, all this.
Wow.
But I was to the point where I was just like, why can't I just be myself? I want to, like, live my life. And I'm glad I came out of my sophomore year, like, I was just free and open to myself, because I don't regret anything that I did, because I was myself. And now that I hear a lot of my friends say that they wish they can go back and be who they are now, to be open in high school so they can do what I was able to do, which was in cheer. You have a bunch of homegirls and all this stuff. And it was a good time in my life. I appreciate everything I did, and I think that's what kind of got me like to be always kind of center stage, like attention to me. Because I was always performing and stuff. But I'm glad I did what I did. It was so much fun.
Now, at that time, were you kind of living a double life, or when you came out, did you come out just at school, and then at home you put it back in the closet?
At home, definitely, I was living a lot like a double life. I even had a girlfriend. I had two girlfriends to kind of hide it, because I had to like pretend that I was straight because of my family, of course, and having girlfriends. And then I would tell the girls that what was going on with myself, and they wouldn't mind. They wouldn't care. They were like, okay, we got you. Don't worry, cover up. And then at first I came out as bisexual. I think that's one thing everyone kind of does. Oh, I'm bisexual, just to kind of get accepted because you still like a woman, you like a man. So, and then I was just like, why am I living this lie? Like I need to be myself. I need to let know what I like, what I love, and then I got caught too in high school. My mom.
Oh.
I had a boyfriend in high school too, and he was a cheerleader. And at that time we had winter break, and then his parents wouldn't let me see him because he was gay, and then they were very strict as well, like I said. And he wrote me a letter to my house, and he kind of expressed himself like, oh, I missed you, I love you. My mom read the letter, pulled me to the room. He was like, what is this? And I just didn't know what to say. And I was just like, caught off guard. I was just like, you know what, I'm gay. Like I'm gay. She was like, why? What's going on? And I'm just like, there's nothing to it. I'm just gay. Like I'm gay. And I ran away from home.
Wow.
Yeah, I ran away from home. I was living at a motel for 2 weeks. I live at
that's scary.
Yeah, it was.
At that age, that's definitely scary.
It was right after high school too. So like, I was living at a hotel. And thankfully, I had help from my girlfriends, from my cheerleading girlfriends, that they helped me kind of like pay for my stuff, food and stuff like that. And eventually, I called my mom because she was worried, and she heard my voice and she started crying out. She was like, "Just come back home. We'll figure things out." But it was hard, you just can't jump in and be like, oh, hey, welcome,
Right.
You're gay. So it was hard. It was very they would give me the cold shoulder and just be quiet. They wouldn't talk to me. And eventually too again, and then I started dating someone else, and I moved out from the house too. Because I didn't feel comfortable. You know, even from my own family, I didn't get that support at all.
Now, so you moved out, and now you're out. You're feeling yourself. Halloween, when you're 21, comes around, and you said, "Look at this face.
Yeah.
I think there's something here, even more beautiful than I have." Tell me about that first time in drag.
So when I had turned 21, I was living with my boyfriend at the time, and he had a Halloween party. And the whole time I was like, I don't know what to dress up as. I don't know what to I need a costume. And then my partner was like, well, I'm gonna dress up. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll dress up with you. Decided to dress up, and I did it, and I was just like, oh, maybe it's not for me, you know, because it was too much work. So I was like, I'll leave it to the side. It's not for me. And then I did that, and then I didn't do it for a long time until like finally I decided to. I was like, I want to perform on stage. Because I saw Raven.
Right, you saw Raven at Oasis.
At Oasis, correct.
And
yeah.
what was that Raven show like that really got you?
She just looked gorgeous. She was beautiful. Her stage presence was everything to me. And then I was just like, I just want to be like her. And I remember what she was wearing. I remember the song she did. I remember. And
what were they?
She was doing $10 by MIA. And she was wearing like this white visor, white top with that white high under.
Oh, I've seen that look.
Yeah, she was wearing that. And every time I work with her, I'm like, I remember when I first saw you, and like, you were wearing this and this, and then she was like, bitch, I remember. And I was like, yeah, that's the day I laid eyes on you, and I was like, I want to be like you.
Nice. So you see Raven, you know this might be something you want to do. And where did your name come from?
Well, the first time I dressed up after I did my 21 first time dressing up, my partner was like, hey, you remind me of my best friend from high school. Her name is Melissa. And I'm like, okay, but then in my mind, I wanted my name to be Phoenix. That was my first name that I had in mind.
Now, did you know at the time that was Raven's go-go name?
No.
And there's a fun fact for you.
Baby.
You were mind melding with Raven, honey.
I like that, okay. See,
so go ahead.
I didn't even know that. Okay, well, I wanted my name to be Phoenix, and then he was like, no, you should be Melissa. And I'm like, okay. So when I went to the club, everyone was like, hey, what's your name? What's your name? And they were like, oh, it's Melissa. So Melissa stayed. And then Befierce didn't come till like years later when I used to have a party crew in the tea party scene. I don't know if you heard of the tea parties. Have you heard tea parties? Tea parties are like flyer parties, but backyards for gay people. They would call it the tea parties.
Oh,
So you know how in the straight party scene they have crews. So in the gay scene we have crews too as well. And then mine was the Befierce ladies. Yeah. So that's how that name came up, but then after that, I just kept the name as Befierce to kind of like remind myself to always be fierce. Like Melissa, be fierce, you know, like always be fierce, you know? So I look at myself in the mirror, Melissa, be fierce, so be fierce. So I was like, okay, Melissa, be fierce, got it, be fierce. And then little by little, I started kind of growing my family and stuff like that.
Yeah, because, honey, there's a lot of Befierces all around.
Yeah, I am the true definition of a Mexican mom. Always popping up babies left and right.
I love it. So you did the smart thing that all girls who want to start getting into shows and drag is that you started to hit those competitions.
I did. I started at Oasis, and then I would never win. I would always place either third, fourth, and so on, and then eventually I won a competition at Oasis. And then Wes from Oasis moved to 340. Have you heard of 340 before?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Tia Bata Club. We'll get to that, I'm sure. So I go to 340, and he has his first competition when he just really opens the club. And Raven and Chanel were the judges and the hosts of the competition.
That was your moment.
Yes.
That was your moment.
Yes. And it was called Project Drag. And I won the competition too, and that's how I kind of like started getting like booked here and there. And the opportunity of doing Project Drag Race at Mickey's came, And I hopped on it. I messaged Tony, and I was like, hey, Tony, I would love to be part of this competition. What do I have to do? Because my dream was to always perform at Mickey's. You know, Mickey's is such a showgirl. Mickey's is a big, they have a big show that's popular, and I've always wanted to be on that stage. So when that opportunity came for me to like get on it, I was like, I need to get on this competition. What do I gotta do? Who's the guy I gotta suck? Yeah. And then I got in it. I got on it, and then of course I won the competition. And then that's how I kind of started getting booked all over California from like winning that competition.
You know that I was a judge on one of those shows, and I saw you, and you slayed. You were incredible.
Thank you.
Because
Which
it was
one
like it was a series. Because
it
was like a weekly one,
yeah,
right? So
weekly.
they brought me in to be a judge on one of those. I remember seeing you and being like, that girl's got it, honey. She's got it.
Yeah, and I won that competition too.
So then you started to really just do it, and you were performing. Then you're living your dream, performing at Mickey's, doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, performing at Mickey's. I got to travel up and down California, and I went to Vegas a couple of times too. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly doing drag like on the road, and especially when you're not a drag race girl and you have to work it and do it. I'm sure that was great preparation for what was coming next for you.
Yes.
And now make sure that you are following us on all social media at Hey Qween TV. That's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, JDate, Black People Meet, Christian Mingle. Erica, make up a website.
Befierce.com?
Ah, my favorite. All right. Melissa, it's time, honey, to get into it.
Get into it. Get into it.
And talk all about your experience on Dragula. Season 1, which you can see right here on Hey Qween TV. Mm-hmm. So that was quite a project. I remember being there when the Boulets told me their idea. So we had it here on Hey Qween TV. And what a great lineup of queens. Very diverse, all sorts of different types of drag. Mm-hmm. How did you first hear about the Dragula, that it was happening?
Well, I mean, I've always known of the Boulay brothers because of the Dragula nights they had at Precinct.
Right.
And I know about the pageants. I had a few friends that I know that have done it before. And one time they reached out to me. They were like, hey, Melissa, we'd like to talk to you. We have a project coming up. I'm like, okay, cool. Show up, and they showed me a video first. But it was just like a teaser of like what they had in mind. And then they were like, would you like to be part of it? And I'm like, sure, why not? They gave me a little rundown of like how it was gonna be. So I did like a little quick
like an audition video?
Audition tape, yeah, like a little audition real quick, and then they called me. I was in I was in Colorado. I had a gig over there, and they called me and they were like, hey Melissa, you're in the first season for Dragula. Congratulations, we're gonna send you the contract, whatever. So I filled it out, and it was quite a ride. Yeah, it was.
I bet. Now, when you were starting it, did you, because obviously horror and filth was not necessarily in the wheelhouse that you were doing when you were performing all over the place. How did you approach preparing?
I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Episode 1, episode 2, I was just, episode 1, I went in and like, oh, I'm gonna let this bitches have it. I got this, you know, I'm this, I'm well polished. But that competition had nothing to do with being polished or wearing something like pure shit, you know? So my first and second episode, I was just thrown off. I was just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. What am I wearing? And definitely I was like, I need to like step it up and, you know, kind of go with what they're telling me to do. And then until episode 3 happened with the whole zombie challenge, that's where it kind of was like, okay, this is where you're gonna get dirty and get ugly.
Right.
So I did the whole Mexican pregnant lady giving birth to a kid, zombie stuff.
Hello, children.